Welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 restoration. For those of you new, my name's Barry. Part 2 of the diff repair, isn't it? As you can see, it's had a really good bath in my parts washer. You don't realise how heavy this is until you stick it in your parts washer and it tries to bend the shelf. Aye. So anyway, it's had a bath. We've had a bit of wire wheel on the faces, on the teeth. We've cleaned it up a touch. My flange, my diff lock flange has had a wire brushing, a clean, a bath. It's going to get another one in a minute because we're going to grind this out, this crack here. We're going to grind that out and we're going to weld that up. So, now, just before we get set up with my vise, to do the grinding. Lime killing farmers in the comments last time said, because I mentioned about what battery lights and everything going up, at the end of the video I'll take you through our lighting arrangements so you can see what we've done next door. These lights in here are not battery, these are 240 volt tubes, but I'll go through that at the end of the video. Let's get this set up in the vise, get this ground out, get it prepped for welding, eh? We're going to set up, we're going to use a little air grinder today. Tell you what, let's take our specs off, eh? Let's have a look, see if we've... Alright, okay. Yep, happy with that. Right, happy with that. Got a decent enough clean cut in there. Now, we'll set this up again, back on my vise. We'll get the welder out. We'll have a bit flash on with the welder, will we? Back in a minute. We're going to weld this up. We're using 6013 welding rods, 1.6 mil, and we're going to set that at about 25 amps to start with. Because the classification is 25 to 50. Now I might go for 35, mightn't I? Go for 35. See what will come up like. bit of dressing up here. Got it cleaned up fairly well. What we're going to do now, we're going to get the old bearing race, and we're going to heat it up, just make sure it fits. If not, we'll keep fettling this till it does fit. Right, we'll heat that down, get it plugged in, get it warmed up, a couple of minutes. I can't take credit for this tip. This has come, I pinched this directly off Lance, Bundy Bear Shed. Deep fat fryer, temperature controlled. It's a damn sight safer than what I was doing, which was oil in an old pressure cooker on top of a gas ring. Well, you would never ever go away and leave it, would you? So in here we've just got some old engine oil. I've put the bearing ring in, the bearing race. We're just going to heat it up for a couple of minutes, slip it over the top of here just to make sure this is still good and clean and round, and it goes on. You can see there, I've got it starting to heat up already. It's very quick and efficient, this method, and it heats uniformly as opposed to a blowtorch, which tends to be spot temperatures, doesn't it? You can hear it kizzling and sizzling. I'm going to turn that down to 150. Have a quick look at that. Ow! Come on. It's not square, is it? Let's get a... Ping! Drop that back in there. Right, well, lights out, so up to temperature. Right, let's try that. Yeah, that goes on. Now let's get it off before it gets tight. Right, that's it off. As I say, it takes a bit of getting off. And I know it did the first time when we tried to get it off initially, but that was when it was colder still. Okay, it's not that hot there. That's absorbed the heat out of it. Right, so a little repair there. Let's have a look. A little repair, we've got a couple of little pinholes in it. Okay, let's get sorted out here. Let's get ready to do this reassembly. Back in a minute. Assembly time. Where's what famous? I'm going to coat it all in grease with this because I don't know how long it's going to be sitting. And grease is better than oil, isn't it? I think it is anyway. When it goes into the engine, into the gearbox oil will wash the grease off it and there'll not be any issues, any harm to it. Okay, so let's have a quick inspection. Diff lock collar fits in beautifully. I'll tell you what I always wanted to try was, if you put the spring in, alright, so you've still got quite a bit of engagement there, haven't you? Nearly the full depth of the teeth actually. We'll try that again in a minute. Okay, first things first. Inward washer. Rag, gives a rag. So we've got our pinion gears, which we are very happy with the condition of. What I want to do, get some grease. Bit of grease on the faces. Bit of grease in the hole. I'll put a bit of grease on that face. You know me, loads of grease. I love grease, me. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so bevel gears. That's two concaved cups either side here for the bevel gear, the back. For the back of your bevel gear to go into. I'm just gonna put a bit of grease on that gear and grease that cup in there. Pop that one in. Next, bevel gear. These have just had a good bath. I'll put the splash of grease on them to stop them corroding. plenty of grease on the back, because this is the bit that's going to push up into that cup. There we go. Now I'm going to pop this shaft in. Let's give us a wipe. I'll pop my shaft in through those two bevel gears in there. I just love loads of grease on everything. I know you can get protective spray in a can. But I think grease will be just as good. Now let's pop our other pin in there. Stop it coming out. Put the excess grease back in. Now I'm going to get a big screwdriver. Just give that a bit of a rotation. Make sure that the grease is covering everything. So you load more in, so you load on top of the gear wheel like that, because as it goes around, it'll all mush in anywhere, won't it? Now, I just want to correct a little thing that I said the other day, which was the shaft we've just put in. All it does is carry the bevel gears. Well, it doesn't, does it? That's what actually transmits your drive from the pinion wheel to your pinion shafts, because the pinion wheel makes your diff cage go around, which turns the shaft with the bearings on it, which transmits the drive out through the bevel gears and the pinion gears to your pinion shafts. Just wanted to clear that up, because I could imagine some people shouting at the screen. Okay, final one. Oh, it's cold in here because my nose has started running. Final one. Put a bit of grease around there. I need to cut the top off that tube. I'm getting shorter depth. And we'll pop that in like that. Now, my final squidgy bit of that onto there. Onto our diff lock flange. And we'll grease that face up. Now, okay, so we've got here 6 3/8 UNC bolts, 3 3/8 1-inch dowels, 3 locking tabs. Now the torque spec on these are grade 5s. If you look at the cap, can we see that on there? It's better on that one. Look at the cap, you can see 3 little marks coming from the points into the middle. That tells you it's a grade 5 bolt. Grade 8 has got 6 marks on them. My 3 1-inch dowels started off life as 4-inch dowels, because when I buy stuff like that, I just buy the biggest that I can and cut them up to length, because it doesn't make sense to carry 1 inch, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, 2 inch. It just makes more sense to buy the longest ones you can, cut them up with an angle grinder, and I pop them back in a drill and put them against the grinding wheel while it's rotating. So you have the grinder going, you rotate the drill and it squares it all off, and then you put a nice chamfer back on the other end. Okay, so our 3/8 UNC have got torque specs of between 23 and 31 pound-feet. If they're plated, 23. If they're non-plated, up to 31. So I think we're going to set these at about 27. Huh? That'll do, won't it? So let's get what we've got here. Newton meters on this one. Newton meters. Foot pounds is 40.68 for 30 foot pounds. 40.68. So if we get to 40, we're looking good, aren't we? Okay. Let's just tap them in. I've got these covered in oil. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put them over the dowels, keep the dowels in. So regardless what happens, the dowels cannot work their way out. As I say, if you remember when we opened this up the first time, all these were finger tight. I don't know what had gone on, just don't understand it at all. Tighten things down across the way. Okay, so let's get shot of that a minute, so we can get physical with this. And lie it on its side so I can get a hold of it. One. Now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just let that sit for 5. Let's play with this again. You don't need an awful lot of pressure to get that in, but by God, when you try and put it in the axle, what a nightmare. Pop that into there with this spring. That'll go back into a parts box for when we pull the axles back off to fix them. Now, one final tension. The click on this torque wrench isn't very loud because it's a light pressure. If it was a heavier pressure, you'd probably hear it better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. Okay, happy they're all down. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to lift them locking tabs into position. A little chisel on there, it'll get under there easier. Probably the only time I like using chisels. Nice punch. big fatten, big wallop at her. One. Two. Oh, right. On. Jolly good. Right, that's it. As far as we're concerned, for the diff reassembly, we're done. Now, to answer Lime Kiln Farm's question, and our comments from part 1 about our lighting systems in here, because I did mention we'd get my 12-volt lights and everything put up next door, hadn't I? Well, we have, and I'll take you in there in a second and show you what's going on. It would be better if it was a bit darker, because you get more idea how much light comes off them, but it is quite a bit. These ones, I've got 4 of these 5-foot 240 volt tubes evenly spread around the garage. Out here I've got 4 small, you can see they're not huge, 4 small solar panels on the wall. These 3 at the minute are feeding the battery in here, and that one there is feeding the bank of batteries that I've got next door for the lights in that garage, which we'll go and have a look at now. This is the 3. The 3 is feeding this, which is the traction battery for the tractor, and my caravan battery. They're just sitting there keeping charge at the minute. This has been number 2 garage. This is the one that's solar powered. In here I've got 1 incandescent 240 volt light, which gives you enough light if you're in here yourself messing about, but it doesn't give you enough light to do anything reasonable good work with it in here. Okay, so I've got 3 banks of 12 volt DC lights. That's my first, and 2, that's my 2 littlest ones. I've got these set on a gang of 3 switches, so we can put each individual pair on depending upon where we are and what we're doing. Middle pair, bottom pair. So the wire from outside from that one solar panel comes in here, goes into that charge controller. I know that's wires hanging out of there and it doesn't look very tidy at the minute, but we've still got a lot of moving around of things to do in here. So there's nothing permanent other than the lights and the ceiling are there staying where they are, but we probably need to change this, because in the near future that workbench next door might be coming into here, because we're looking at putting a hole through that wall there, in there somewhere. But there's a joist there, so it'll probably be the other side of that joist in there, so we can get access to this garage without having to open the front door. So right, they're running 5 car batteries that for whatever reason didn't want to work on various cars that we have, but we kept them because they were still reasonably good batteries that could hold a charge for a good while. They're down underneath this set of shelves, 2 ticks. Under there, as you see, they're just car batteries, and they're daisy chained together. And the way I've got it set up is the positive, you see there's 2 wires in this one here. That's because the positive charge from the panel is coming at this end. The negative charge is going into the opposite end to keep all the batteries balanced. If you put the negative and positive in and daisy chained in parallel those off, you get an imbalance in your batteries. Whereas if you put positive on this one, negative on the far one, you get a more even charge and discharge across the batteries. So if we get the hole knocked through the wall there, as I say, we'll get access into here without having to open that front door. And it's bad weather, if it's raining, if it's dark, the burglars get to see in, don't they? And that's, I want to avoid having the front doors open as much as possible. So access through there, get some jobs done on this overnight free solar lights. Right guys, I hope that's useful. Took the diff to bits, made that new shaft. All we've got to do is bend them pin overs, which we'll do in a minute. Bend the pin overs, diff done, complete. Right, now, as I always say, your time is greatly appreciated when you come watching we're tinkering in our garage. But remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. And we'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, a couple of weeks' time, we'll get a hole knocked in the wall in here. Ta-ra now.